right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you happen to be watching this or watching the recording. Thank you so much for joining us for our first App Builder Live of 2024. And it's hard to believe. I was pretty much sick all of January. Like I think New Year's I got sick and it was pretty miserable. So hopefully everybody out there is keeping healthy. And that you guys are all doing well. So today we have an outstanding session talking about Extension Manager, which was released a couple weeks ago for AEM Sites, and we'll hear about what it is, how you can leverage Extension Manager, and then we'll talk about UI extensions and all that sort of stuff. It's a little bit of a follow-on to our session from December, where Sarah and Surya came in and talked about our new ISV program and building for the app marketplace. So we'll talk a little bit about kind of the connections between those two things. Yeah, so this is all about Extension Manager and AEM Sites. So let me introduce our speaker. Hey, Amy, how you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Yeah, thank you for inviting me here today,
You are
Ron.
very welcome. Yeah, so you are from Austin, correct?
That's right.
And yes, it's my second favorite place probably on the planet. And I think barbecue has something to do with it, but lots of groovy people live in Austin as well. So yes, very cool place. Are you liking it there?
I am very much, yes.
I think when we talked earlier, you were mentioning that food is also a big key part of Austin's culture, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. We love our food and alcohol here.
Excellent. All right. Okay. So you're going to talk about Extension Manager, and you're part of the AEM extensibility team, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, and we had so this is also kind of a follow-on to a session that we did back in June of last year, where we talked about, or I guess we introduced UI extensibility. We had Vladimir, manager of the extensibility team, on, and yeah, so I'll have the links to those, and you guys can check those out later. But let's jump into Extension Manager. So. Let's I'm going to throw your slides up first, but I think you're going to start in Extension Manager, right? We'll just give a little preview and then we'll kind of jump back to slides. Sound good?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so you want me to pull up Extension Manager? Is that
Yeah,
right?
let's show folks kind of what Extension Manager is, and then we'll deep dive into all of the aspects of it.
All right. So yeah, Extension Manager is a new offering for AEM Sites. You can find Extension Manager in the landing page of Adobe Experience Manager, and you just click Launch, and there we go.
There you go. So
So
you've got sample
mhm,
extensions. Go ahead.
that's right. And first-party extensions as well, here at the bottom.
All right. And it's by IMS org and environment, right? So essentially, depending on the IMS org, you may see things if you've got multiple IMS orgs, and probably not too many people outside of Adobe have multiple IMS orgs, but you probably, as a customer or partner, have multiple programs, right, or environments.
Yeah, that's right. So for each IMS org, you will see all of its programs in this left sidebar. And if you choose a program, you will see all of its AM instances or AK environments.
Right. All right. So we've kind of gotten our feet wet a little bit in Extension Manager. Let's jump back over into slides and we'll talk a little bit about kind of what's inside of Extension Manager.
Yeah, sounds good. I just have a bit of background to go over about like what exactly are UI extensions. So they're applications that are deployed on App Builder, and they use the UIX Extensibility SDK to declare what Adobe services it extends and how. They're automatically loaded within its associated Adobe Service UI for all users within the IMS org that it's deployed in. They implement various things like client-side scripts, uh, custom UI, and server-side scripts hosted as Adobe Runtime Actions. So each UI extension has to declare what its extension points are, and those are essentially services on the Experience Cloud Unified Shell that are extensible. So for AEM Headless, that's things like AEM Content Fragments Admin Console and Content Fragment Editor. There's also AEM Universal Editor and Adobe Commerce Admin as well.
Okay, and it's actually a good thing probably to point out. Sorry to interrupt, but so this is related to because there are a number of flavors of AEM. You've got on-prem, you've got managed services, you've got cloud service. So UI extensibility and extension manager is specifically for AEM as a cloud service, right?
Yeah, that's right, because they have to be on the Experience Cloud Unified Shell.
Yeah, right. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so each extension point has different UI areas, which are also known as namespaces, that can be customized in specific ways. So for example, the AMCF console, when you select content fragments, there's an action bar that appears at the top, and it's possible to, for example, add a custom button to it. We have sample extensions for various extension points available on the Extension Manager homepage if practitioners want to try them out to learn how to use UI extensions.
All right. Let's
Yes.
dive into Extension Manager.
All right. So the main reason why we decided to develop Extension Manager is that it used to be that when an extension was published for an IMS org, it would be available for all of its AEM instances, which, as you can imagine, was very inflexible and not ideal for customers that wanted to isolate extensions to specific instances. So our main goals for Extension Manager was flexibility. So to allow customers to tailor the user experience to meet their specific needs, to provide control, as in allowing customers to manage and restrict functionality to ensure security, transparency, where it's possible to view the status of extensions on one place, and finally speed. So allowing developers to quickly build and have customers enable extensions without product releases. So have a very quick development cycle. So our first user story is, as an enterprise customer, we want you to be able to personalize the AEM experience by creating AEM extensions and configure them on a per environment basis with no code. The ability to configure UI extensions per environment also enables you to quickly tailor the UI extension without having to redeploy it. And finally, we wanted to allow customers to just be able to try the latest features of AEM through self-managed extensions with a short release cycle. So Adobe develops first-party extensions, and you wanted to be able to deliver them to customers very quickly.
Right on. That's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
All
so
right.
with this, we can go to Extension Manager.
Jump back into Extension Manager, and we'll show kind of exactly the features that you talked about.
All right, so let's start with what we see on the home page. So, we have, all our available sample extensions just right here on the home page. And with sample extensions, you can, see like what exactly extension points are, and how to use UI extensions. So, this one
I think
adds a new button. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, I think one of the neat things about being able to preview these samples are we're using guides here to, as you're pointing out, to help users understand what's going on, which is great.
Oh yeah, that's right. This is these sample extensions are primarily for practitioners because like when you use a UI extension, it might not be like immediately intuitive as to like what you need to do or like where you need to look. So we can start here, and this guy tells us, oh look, there's a new header menu button, and so this is a dropdown, and it brings up a modal dialog that has a weather forecast.
That's great. Yeah, you could
Hmm.
see having like a sample button that had information that maybe you copy and paste regularly, right? So you want to provide that to your end users, to your authors, to have content in there. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so then let's get on to actually seeing the available extensions. So you select a program, and then you can select different environments to manage it, your extensions in. So let's go to our dev instance, and Extension Manager will list all extensions in this IMS org for the extension points AEM CF Console and AEM CF Editor.
Yeah, and so
Mhm.
today, just to point out, I mean, we'll get to the roadmap, but today, CF Editor and CF Console are the two extension points that are in production. Universal Editor is coming up soon, though, right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
So if you look at these three extensions at the bottom, you can see that they have a label developed by Adobe. So this means that these are first-party extensions. So these are developed by Adobe, and these automatically appear in Extension Manager. So there's no need to like deploy anything, install anything. They just magically appear. And if you don't have access, you can, request it using this button. But even if you don't have access, you can still try them out using Preview.
Yep.
So this is the language copies management extension, where you can publish and unpublish language copies for specific content fragments. So if we bring up the preview, it will show us the content fragments console.
And this was one of the, I mean, this is a use case from Adobe, right? So we had this need ourselves and built this for our Adobe.com team, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then also, in the preview page, you can select the program and the instance that you want to preview the extension in. So, then if I go to select a content fragment, then this action bar will appear, and this extension specifically adds the main translation button. And we can see in this modal dialog that we can publish and unpublish all of the language copies for this content fragment.
Right on. Super convenient. And so that's, I mean, that's a capability that exists already. Like it basically is streamlining it for authors so they don't have to go to multiple screens and do it individually, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So it's a huge time saving. Cool.
hmm Okay, so then going back to Extension Manager, we can see that each extension, has a support email that you can contact if something goes wrong with the extension. It has the extension's status, um, the extension point uh, that it's for, and then there's a enable, disable toggle, and then various actions. So um, this toggle is so that when you enable it, um, the extension point will automatically load this extension. So, I have the CF console for this instance open right here. And, we can see that, this is the before state. So, then when I enable this extension and refresh, there should be a
Yeah,
new custom
it's taking
button
a minute
in
probably
the
because
header menu.
it's loading,
Yeah,
right? It's loading the yeah.
yeah, that's right. Okay. So, like magic, we can see that there's a new show config button here. And if we click it, so it's supposed to show configuration variables, which are not set yet in Extension Manager. So then if I go back to Extension Manager and look at, the possible actions, we can add configuration variables to configure the extension. So these are just key value parameters that will be passed client side to the extension. And so if we refresh this again, um,
Yeah, so now we get to see the effect of that change, right?
yeah, so now we can see that the configuration variables have been injected into this modal dialog, and is printed here. So if you want to pass these configuration variables to your server-side scripts, you'll have to pass them as parameters when invoking the Adobe runtime action.
Very cool.
So the next cool feature I want to show is the ability to try out, your extension without having to enable it in your org. So here we have, this arrow button where, you can immediately navigate to preview the extension in this environment. So it will open a preview in the dev instance. And, we can see that, this extension adds a click me button to the header menu and just opens a modal dialog. The other cool thing is that you can actually also So Extension Manager also provides a shareable preview link. So you can just click this link button to copy it and just share it on Slack or anywhere. And then when you open it, it'll take you to this preview page where you can select the program environment that you want to see this extension in. And then when you go to preview it, it will.
You'll hopefully not get a connection error, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
There we go.
so assuming your instance is up and running, then yeah, it will pull up the preview for that environment,
Yeah,
and it'll just be the same thing.
there you go. Yeah, as AEM practitioners and developers and folks leveraging it know that if your instance is hibernated, it's not gonna extension manager is not gonna be able to magically unhibernate or dehibernate your AEM instance. So it definitely works with non-hibernated instances of AEM. Okay, so the roadmap.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. So Extension Manager already has lots of great features, but we have more coming in the pipeline. So Extension Manager already lists extensions for AMCF Console and AMCF Editor. Well, in the future, we're going to expand the list of supported extension points to Adobe Commerce Admin and Universal Editor. So, which means that in the future, you'll be able to manage extensions for these with Extension Manager. We, now allow you to preview and share extensions. Well, we plan to enable Extension Manager preview on Adobe Exchange as well in the future. We have enabling and disabling extensions per environment, as well as role-based control level. While in the future, we also want you to be able to enable and disable extensions per user as well. I guess finally, if you have any suggestions or ideas for new features, you can contact us at uix@adobe.com.
And the team would be happy to work with you on, if there's extension points that aren't, that we haven't built yet, or some, extensibility feature or UI extensibility area that you would like to get built. The team will absolutely help with that. So yeah, definitely reach out to us.
All right, so the next section is
Actually,
Mhm.
before we go into the extension distribution, one of the things I wanted to point out, and I forgot when we were doing it. So previewing, I think, is really interesting because it's per session, right? So you don't have to go
Yeah,
and
that's
show it,
right.
but essentially, when you're previewing as a so say you're an end user, you're a practitioner, you're somebody who's maybe an author, and you are in AEM. The cloud service, and you see, hey, there's extension manager, and you click on that and you get to this interface. When you preview it, it's it's time limited, right? So it's while you're in that session, and when you end the session, that button or whatever you've enabled is gone, right?
Um, yeah, so it's not quite like that. So
Okay.
with the preview, yeah. So with the preview, like uh, so it specifically like modifies the URL so
Hmm.
that when you see Content Fragments console, it will load the extension. So if it's like not enabled for the org, then
Right.
when you go to the actual Content Fragments console, the extension won't get loaded. But like with preview, it's explicitly telling the fragment console or the extension point, load this extension.
Right. So it's doing the magic of appending
Yeah,
that
that's right.
UI extension into the URL, and so that's why maybe the next time you go, like you're saying, into content fragment admin tool, it's not going to be there because really you're not loading it because the URL isn't, you didn't use that link essentially.
Yeah, that's right. So it's not like by session. Actually, the preview link doesn't change.
Right. Yeah. So it's basically just a different avenue into viewing it through adding that URL. Okay, sorry. Let's go back into the extension manager stuff that you were going to go into.
Yeah. So actually, now that I have Extension Manager open, you might be wondering, so then like, what does the status, mean? Like, what's the difference between draft, published, pending? So, that's all related to, how UI extensions are created and distributed, and, like how they appear in Extension Manager.
Yeah, and so it's good to point out that we don't have any yet third-party extensions, but yeah, this is, so if there's partners watching, this is how you can build an extension for Extension Manager. Go ahead, Amy.
Yeah, that's right. With Extension Manager, both privately and publicly distributed extensions for your IMS org appear. So for private distribution, that's publishing your extension to your own IMS org. And I just have like a short little video about like the end-to-end flow about creating an extension and then distributing it. So here, this video starts off with, so I have created a UI extension and now I'm deploying it. So when you deploy a UI extension to its production workspace, that makes it appear in Extension Manager as a draft. So if I speed through this, so if you also look at the result of the AIO app deploy command, it will also give you a preview link as well to your extension. So then you can use this preview link after you deploy to see if your extension is working as intended. So that's just the Click Me extension that I demonstrated earlier. And we can see that after the extension has been deployed, that it now appears in Extension Manager as a draft. And it can be regularly enabled and disabled as well. So, then to actually publish the extension, aka privately distribute it, you go to Developer Console, to the production workspace, and there will be a section at the bottom showing you like where you can go to publish it. So if you want to publish it privately, you just fill out this submission form.
And this is sorry to interrupt. This flow is new as of a couple weeks, right? So since Experience Manager, Extension Manager was released, this new publish privately flow became available, right?
Actually, I think this private distribution flow has been available for a while. What you might be thinking about is the public distribution flow to publish extensions to Exchange.
Okay.
Yeah, like the whole niche that Extension Manager was made to fill is, before when you published privately to an IMS org, it'd be available to everyone.
Yeah.
So, now when you publish it, that's not the case with Extension Manager.
Right. So now you have this published privately and then published to the world yeah.
That's right. So, once you submit, your app for approval to the IMS org admin, you can see that, the extension has been updated to, show like the the name that you chose, the support email, and its status is also changed depending. So, this pending status means that the extension is, currently in review. So, then we switch gears to to the IMS org admin. So the IMS org admin has to go to Exchange, and under the Manage tab in Experience Cloud Applications, they will see all the extensions that require review or are published, and we can see that our ClickMe extension is in the queue. And so then once the IMS org admin reviews and approves it on Exchange, then it will, publish the extension to the IMS org. And then when you refresh Extension Manager, its status will show as published.
Okay, so just let me go back a minute so I make sure. Okay, so as a developer,
Yeah, sure.
you're going in and you're creating an extension, right? You're
Yeah.
publishing privately, and then the org admin can then go and in the Exchange, manage Experience Cloud Applications section, it picks up that extension because it was published privately within that IMS org. They can then publish it. Is that correct, or did I miss something?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So the developer submits it to the IMS org admin through Developer Console,
Yep.
and then the IMS org admin will see that it's pending review in Exchange, and then once they approve it, then it's published. And the IMS org admin can also revoke it at any time as well.
Yeah, they retain that power of being able to veto to change.
Yeah, and this slide just is a summary of what I just demonstrated. So essentially, like once an extension is deployed to its production workspace, it will automatically appear in Extension Manager. So there is also public distribution. So private distribution only publishes the extension to the IMS org that it's deployed in. Public distribution, you can list your extension in Adobe Exchange or Adobe Commerce Marketplace for monetization and or discoverability. So then this allows you to seamlessly distribute your extension to multiple IMS orgs. And so when a customer acquires the extension from Adobe Exchange, it automatically creates a new app builder project in their org, and the extension code gets distributed directly to app builder and automatically deployed. So then there's no having to manually create projects and deploy them yourself in every IMS org.
Yeah, and
And
I
then
think that is a key feature of this new distribution mechanism. That we've had this limitation for a while, where as a partner, if you wanted to install something that you had built to customers, you would have to install it individually to each of those. But in this way, with the marketplace, you can it's all automatic. It's very cool.
Yeah, and then Exchange also has a configuration screen, and I just wanted to make the distinction between Extension Manager's configuration and the configuration in Exchange. So in Exchange, you're able to configure environment variables, which are only accessible to Adobe Runtime Actions. So that means the extension's server-side scripts. Extension Manager's configuration variables are client-side.
All right, cool.
Yeah, and then finally, we have some useful links. So you can find our UI extensibility developer documentation, which encompasses UI extensibility and extension manager at at developer.adobe.com/UIX/docs. We also have extension examples available on the Adobe GitHub, as well as accompanying experience link tutorials for them.
And I created a quick tiny URL in case you wanted a shorter URL to put in there for those experience link tutorials. It's a great way to get started in building UI extensions. Um, all right. So with that, I think we are now at question and answer. If there's anybody has questions, you can certainly email them to uix@adobe.com. But definitely, let us know right now if there's anything. You can put in a comment if you're watching this through YouTube and you're logged in. You're able to put in comments as questions. If you are watching through StreamYard, you can do that as well. So yeah, thank you so much, Amy, for walking us through um, Extension Manager. It's super cool, and I think it'll be even more useful as we get more developers building extensions in AEM that we can publish as third party. We're also working on a number of extensions that we're looking to add directly from Adobe. So those first party extensions.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm really excited for what's coming.
Yeah, it is very groovy. Um, Okay, and then just for folks, this is the UI extensibility session that we did back in June of last year. So if you want to get kind of your feet wet on building UI extensions, you can go there. Or we had our Adobe developers live back in November, and Amy's colleague Arena um, gave a session on essentially building a UI extension using a third-party data source. So one of the really powerful things with these UI extensions is integrating third-party services or third-party data source to bring content into the authoring environment where authors need it. So definitely check that out. All right. Well, it looks like we don't have any questions, which is fine. Like, Amy's got the email address up here, so if you've got anything, definitely send them out to uix@adobe.com. And yeah, thank you again, Amy. And that was a fantastic session. I will let you go. And then actually, before I do, let me here we'll go to this screen. We have a session coming up next in, I think it's the 29th of, I should probably know this. I think it's the 29th of February. So in 2 more weeks, not next Thursday, this Thursday after, special session on App Builder turning 10.0. So that is a huge milestone. App Builder has been around for a number of years now. And we'll have the engineering manager and one of the computer scientists building App Builder on to talk about what's new, what's coming, and diving into all things App Builder. So definitely check that out in a couple weeks. And with that, Amy, have an awesome day, and everybody else. And we'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you so much, Ron.
Okay. Thanks, Amy.